Inaugurated Cuban Embassy in Washington in the United States. The flag was raised for the first time in over 54 years over a mansion that will again serve as Havana's embassy in Washington.
Well, a great deal of activity outside what is now the Cuban Embassy here in Washington. Probably the most activity they have witnessed outside those gates for some 54 years. Of course, that's the length of period that the economic blockade, the embargo, has been in place between the United States and Cuba. A lot of activity. You can see a huge media contingent here. Absolutely no space to walk on the pavement. Lots of interest for this historic occasion. We earlier saw the arrival of Cuba's Foreign Minister, Bruno Rodriguez Parilla, who will preside over today's ceremony. A bit later, he will meet in a historic joint press conference with Secretary of State John Kerry at the State Department, and lots of voices outside the Cuban Embassy this morning on either side of the debate. Let's take a listen to what people are saying out here.
I'm so grateful to Raul Castro and Barack Obama for making this opening possible. I want them to follow up with ending the travel restrictions. The only country in the world that, as an American, I'm not allowed to travel to is Cuba. It's ridiculous.
The message is that there's an economic blockade that needs to be dropped first and foremost. They need to be able to change the economic, military, and cultural blockade around Cuba.
My message today is that though I support and am hopeful that something good will come out of the new relations between Cuba and the United States, the issue of human rights and democracy for the Cuban people is really non-negotiable. Cuba has not had free elections since 1948. What the dictator Batista started, the Castro regime continued.
Of course, South Africa's ambassador will be here as well, representing President Jacob Zuma's government, a good friend of the Cuban government for a number of years now, and really an historic occasion. A bit later, we'll see the Cuban standard hoisted on that flagpole outside the embassy, a historic occasion, and many issues still to come as this relationship plays itself out. Of course, a lot of issues unresolved: human rights questions, travel restrictions, an embargo that can only be removed through congressional action. So we will be watching closely as this relationship develops over the years.
The Minister of International